Okay, now I'd like to talk something about today that I've been having a problem with over the last few days and see if I can fix it. Here lately, I've been working on making some pepper mills. I like these pepper mills, they're quite decorative. So when I started making them, I made up about, I don't know, I got a dozen blanks over there or so to go ahead and build several of them. It's easier to build one after another and build several of them in a row. So I built a couple of them and I put a friction polish on, and friction polish worked good, put them together. I was like, well, I want to try a couple with my polyurethane. I like using my polyurethane on some of my larger projects and my bowls, and it seems to give a great luster and a long lasting shine and durable finish to a lot of my woodwork. So the first one I did was out of this sweet gum here, and it turned out great. And then I come across this next one made out of some oak. And I don't know if you can tell or see in there, but I know I can. The dark side of the oak, it accepted the polyurethane real well. But this white side that has soaked in a lot of my stabilizing compound to stabilize it, it's gooey. I've taken and refinished it twice. Both times after sitting a few hours. It should have already been hard, but it was not. So I ended up sticking it on my stand, sticking it in my oven, and cooking it at about 150 degrees for about 6 hours, thinking, well, that will cook in the polyurethane and harden it up. And it does not. And I don't know what the issue is. But even on the acrylic now, you can see on the acrylic has set hard. It's just on this white that has soaked in a lot of the stabilizing compound. So I looked through my kits the other day, and I also found that I have a lot of these bottle stoppers, which also have stabilizing compound in the wood, and they have done the same thing sitting in the cases over time. Some of it's on the wood, some of it, like this one, you may be able to see, is on the acrylic. And it seems like it's just not sticking, not adhering, and coming off over time. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take one of these items, and I went and brought some lacquer to try out. And with instructions on this lacquer, you cannot use it over polyurethane. So I'm going to take one of my items out there to the lathe. I'm going to turn it down, clean all the polyurethane off, and go ahead and get it good and sanded. And then we'll come back in here and put another finish on this and see if it like it says. Because this has directions within 30 minutes. It should be hard to the touch. 2 hours you can put on a second coat. No sanding. For smaller projects, that will be great. So I'm going to try it out and we'll see what happens. I'll get back in touch with you on the blade. Okay, I got her all chucked up. Make sure it's all tight. Turn it on and get her cleaned up. closer. We got a little bit in the middle. A little bit more. Alright, now we're going to rig up to sand it. Since I got everything cut off, all the old finish off, we'll get it sanded down and be ready to put some of that new lacquer on. And since I already have it cleaned up pretty good, I'm going to go ahead and start out with a 180 first. Alright, that 180 worked pretty good, so let me grab a 320. And I know a lot of people will jump through all different sizes of this sandpaper, but I got a few general sizes, and I got some coarser and some more fine that I'll use on different projects. Let's get this 320 and we'll try and get a lot of these swirl marks out of it. Now, I don't know if anybody noticed what I was doing, but this thing is two-directional. Going clockwise, and this is going this way, so I turn it clockwise when I'm using that side of it. And then I turn it going counterclockwise when I'm using this side of it. That way you're able to go against the turning of the piece to get the maximum effect of your sandpaper. Now I got to get some sandpaper and we'll touch up the ends. I'm just going to do this with some 240. I still got some machine tool lines on that side. So we'll stick this back on and we'll clean it up a little bit more. See if I can clean it up more, make it easier to sand. Sanding. Now that looks good enough to hold a finish. Alright, we'll see you back inside and then I'll finish up put a finish on there. I'm back in my room again. This lacquer, they say you're supposed to use mineral spirits to clean it. So I got me a old can of mineral spirits here. We'll see how well this works out. Portable lathe. It's always handy to be able to turn it to finish projects somewhere inside, away from other shavings. That way you can continue on making shavings and work on other projects while one of them's drying and finishing. We'll take the mineral spirit here and get it up here where y'all can see what I'm doing. You got to be careful and be sure and read the label on whatever product you're using to finish with, so you know what to clean it with. Some of them say cleaning with water. Some of them say cleaning with mineral spirits. And then if it don't say cleaning with nothing, don't tell you what to clean it with, you can always get some denatured alcohol, do the same thing with, and it'll evaporate pretty quickly. That way you don't have to worry about drying, you ain't got to worry about soaking into the wood. But since this said with mineral spirits, I'm supposing we should be able to hit this right away. I will open up my lacquer. Get a little stir paddle here. Make sure it's all stirred up, because all of them will tell you, do not shake, just stir. Get it stirred up, stirred up. This is new, so it's looking pretty good. Throw that over there, save it for next time. Now, I like using these little foam brushes. I wish I had some 1-inch ones, but I don't for this project. That's what I usually use with my polyurethane. We'll see how it works here. Take a little dab. Make sure I get it up high enough here where y'all can see what I'm doing. And I don't think my little foam is going to work too well on this. We'll have to let that set up, and then I'll try it with a brush. Let that sit a couple minutes. I'll dig out a brush and we'll see what's going on. Okay, now we're going to try it with a brush. This stuff is right too. I'm going to have to open up the windows here. I just thought polyurethane smelled. Okay, this stuff is drying pretty quickly. You only have about a 30-minute working time on it, or 30 minutes dry to the touch. We'll see how well she does in one coat. And it says you don't have to sand between coats. Now, but if I have to, I can sand it down and try it again, especially since this is my first time. But it looks like it's blended in pretty good. Get this end grain up here. Usually the end grain will really soak that stuff in. It don't do it as bad whenever it's been stabilized, but it will do it. I think that's going to work out well for what I'm doing here. I just sit here and turn it round and round until it looks like it's going to do good enough for me to let it sit stationary and I ain't got a bunch of runs on it. Because that does get aggravating when you get a piece like that and it has a bunch of runs in it, and then guess what? Sand it over, start all over. Clean that up real good and stick that back on the lacquer. And it's looking real well. I hope that fixes it. I will get back in touch with you as soon as it dries and let you know. Alright, here we are, back with my pepper grinder. I put one coat on and let it sit a couple hours like the directions said. I had a couple little spots on there that I didn't put on probably thick enough. So, and I had a couple of air bubbles. So in order to clean it up some, I got some of my little 600 grit sandpaper, went over it real lightly. And then I was able to put a second coat of the lacquer on. And 2 hours later, that's a beautiful finish. I really love that finish. I believe I'm going to start using that finish a lot more for these medium-sized projects like this, and I'll end up redoing my bottle stoppers with the same stuff. Because if you compare that with this, they are equally good in my opinion, and this I can do it in half the time. I can put 2 coats on in the same amount of time it takes to put one on there. And plus I use a lot of stabilized wood in my medium-sized projects, so I don't have to worry about having this same issue over again. But while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and assemble this to show y'all how you put one of these together once you get it all turned. Okay, now these pepper mills I got from Penn State Industries. I got 2 different styles. I got this one, and I have that top crank style there. And they both take the same size blank, and they both are assembled basically the same way, except for the handle. Dig out the parts and pieces. And of course, you got your instruction page. So if you ain't done it before and want to start doing some, it's all right there in there for you. You got the grinder piece. And the cap. The cap fits on the 1-inch side over the 1-inch hole. What I normally do is I'll line it up just by eyeball. It only has 2 bolts. So I got me a little prick tool. I can reach in there and mark them, the holes. Yes, they are hard to see. I got one there and one there. Get my drill bit. I'm using a 5/32 for this one. When I started doing these, I started out with the smallest drill bit, and running my screws in until I could get them to go all the way with a screwdriver, and this takes the 5/32. I find my mark, get a good start. And I lost my other mark. Now, set it back up there. Get right there. About even. Yeah, a little bit stiffer. There we go. Now I can see it. Once I get them started, stick it on here and just drill my hole. And that's one reason I do use that stabilizing compound, because of this oak and that punky wood, because this came out of a old pin oak tree that had died standing up, and about halfway up there was a big old twisty burl. Looked like a vine had been around it at one time, and it was a hollowed out spot. In fact, when I cut the tree down and opened it up, the squirrel came out because it was a squirrel's nest. But the squirrel was okay. He was scared pretty much, but he was okay. He just had to find him a new home because that tree had to go. And these are always just a pain to run them in from that sideways area, because you can't get a straight turn on them because of the shape. Get it both go down. Okay. And we got them both down. And then you feed that up to the bottom. And that ain't what's supposed to happen. Well, let me pause this and see what happened. Okay, I'm back. I'll show you what happened. A little flat piece there on the bottom holds in your grinder. And that gets adjusted on top, and that gives you your thickness. I had to go get my glue and my accelerator. You just put that piece back in, and it's good and sturdy once again. And then you just put the handle on top. And as you tighten that handle up, you can see it pulls that bottom up, or it lets it go down. And it gives you, tells you what kind of how thick the grain is that your pepper's grinding down to, whether it's real fine or real thick. So you put your pepper balls in there, close it up, grind it, and ready to go. The two different finishes is your polyurethane and your lacquer. You can always leave me a message down below. Tell me how you like it. I'm going to see if I can't get a link on there so you can click and like my page and subscribe to my page. This here is my first video I've done. I've been doing woodworking for several years, doing turning, making this stuff, but I've never attempted making videos, so this is my first one. So just be patient. Maybe I'll get a little bit better with it in time. See you on the next one.